Welcome. Today we're introducing you to a few different types of ropes and what we use them for when we train our horses or work with our horses. So I guess one of my sayings is always, when you lead a horse or when you have a horse on a rope, treat the rope like it wouldn't even be there. So, and in Liberty, I say, work in Liberty like you would have a rope. So, meaning, don't use a rope with pressure. Try to be as light as possible when using a rope. Now, to get to that point, we use different lengths of rope. So, with young horses, I suggest don't use short lead ropes, because what that does is it actually gets you closer to the horse. And a young horse, a foal that is just being taught to be handled and potentially halter trained and lead trained, when you have a short rope on them and they start to potentially play up a little or have a bit of issues with that rope, you are very, very close to that animal and it can actually hurt you. So give it some range. So usually we use a 9 to a 12 foot rope, and I show you that over here where I've got my ropes. I've got my rope set up here for you. So having a look at a 9 foot rope here, this is a normal lead rope. It's got a bit of a heavy clip, which I wouldn't use with a foal. I would have a lighter clip on a lead rope for a foal, because if that bangs its jaw, it could take a fright. It might then also be very reluctant to have next time the rope on its halter. So be careful with that. On, however, a well-trained horse on a lead, I use these lead ropes. They have a fairly stiff kind of end piece here with a little bit of weight in the rope, which I like because it can help me when I train the horse. It communicates to the horse a little bit more than if it would be a floppy rope. The same goes with the end part. Usually in the end part there is a little bit of weight in here as well, because it's tighter woven than in between, and it's got often a nice little leather popper in the back, which you can also use to potentially, when you are guiding the horse or you are asking for particular exercises to get a little bit more impulsion, you could swing it and it makes that little bit of noise, that popper, and the horses, as we all know, do hear that. And so it can be again a training aid for leading a horse or even lunging a horse on a rope like this. So this is just a normal basic lead rope for a educated horse. Then from this rope, that's where I would start, with a 9 to 12 foot rope. Then once that is mastered, I move on to my 22 foot rope over here. The same principle with this rope. It is weighted in the front, it is weighted in the back with a popper, however it is way longer. So with this one you can now move into even lunging a horse. You could also start to ask the horse to do certain exercises on this lead rope, obviously way further away from you, working towards liberty if you like. So this rope would be potentially one I would use with a younger horse, because it's nice and thick and soft, except obviously at the end pieces. So then we come to the more refined rope over here, which I use with the more educated horse. This one is absolutely beautiful to work with. This rope is a 22 foot rope, like the other one that is a little bit thicker. Now this one goes, it's exactly the same again. It's got a little bit of weight in the front, a very nice little clip, and at the back as well. It's got its popper, which I will show you in a tick once I've rolled this one out. So you can see at the end here, it's got the little popper here. and it is a bit stiffer in the back here as well, so you can make that little bit of noise or really target a particular area because it's weighted in the back, so it is way easier to handle and to target a particular area when you swing the rope. So these ropes I use again for the more educated horse, not the young horses, as it is quite fine. You can really refine your aids with this rein. So again, lunging, often lunging exercises in a distance, preparing for liberty. Then we have our little popper. So the popper, it's a very short rope. You can see it here. Same principle, strongly woven in the back ends on both sides. Now this popper you could use easily as a neck rein. So, and by neck rein, what I mean is you can put it connected like this, throw it over the horse's neck, and then ride bridleless with this rein. It's very nice in your hands. It's not too big, so it's easy to hold as a rein in the beginning, basically to prepare you for liberty riding and bridleless riding. So you can just pop that one over the horse's neck and then ride on this. You can also use it with a bridle if you want to train yourself to get more stable hands. You pop that over the horse's neck, you hold your actual reins as well as this rope and hold it, attach it to your saddle, loop it into your saddle and hold it and keep your hands stable that way. So that's another purpose, I guess, for the popper. The popper is very handy to have in your back pocket, just in case you need to go and get a horse. It's tiny and it fits nicely into your back pocket if you do need to go and catch one. So then we have our 45-foot lariat. Now the 45-foot lariat is not an easy one to handle. It suggests that you can rope a little bit, or at least be able to handle your ropes, which I've just shown you. So practice, now it doesn't necessarily make perfect, but practice perfectly does make perfect. So put some time into handling your ropes, because without a horse, because once you have them on the horse, for yourself, it is then a little bit too late to learn how to handle them, because then you've got the horse, you've got way other potential challenges than just handling your rope. So make sure that before you put a rope on a horse, you have the ability to use that particular rope you have chosen. It's too late to then learn how to use that rope and how to swing the rope and use it as an effective tool in your horsemanship. So make sure you can handle this rope. The 45 lariat as well as the 22-foot rope or ropes, the thin as well as the thick one, I use for exercises that are far away from me, as an aid, as a teaching exercise for the horse to learn to work later on in liberty, so that they still feel my command. It's also really then comes down to more and more body position than the rope. So we have the halters as well, with which I can quickly show you which halters to use when. We've got rope halters as well as web halters. So when I show you the web halter here, which is really the normal web halter you can buy. This one is a full, due to the fact that we do have warm bloods, and so they do have bigger heads. So the web halters, they're very kind. For teaching purposes, I do not prefer them. I prefer the actual string halters here, right? So I do prefer these. You can use them for training purposes, as they communicate way better to the horse due to the pressure points it has on them, like the knots, as you can see. It communicates your aids to the horse way better than a web halter. So, however, our young horses, our foals, we don't put string halters on them in the first time. We actually put a web halter on. So they are being haltered first with a little web halter, because the string halters, they are quite severe. They can be quite severe, especially if a little horse pulls back, a little foal pulls back due to no mistake of your own. It could be environmental, something could be frightening it, and then it pulls back. It will hurt the little horse way more in a string halter due to the pressure points here than a web halter will do. It also potentially could cut in on the pole up the top when they pull back, and that can give them severe headaches later as well, and can put the pole out. So this is less, or happens less, with a web halter. So for the young ponies, when we start them, until they really nicely give, we use the web halter, and then we move them onto the string halter. And the string halter communicates very, very nicely your aids. It starts already to transfer when you do it correctly, and you have placed it correctly on the horse as well. That's an art in itself, because they do move more than a bridle does, because with a bridle you have obviously way more connection points which you can adjust. Here you've got one, and with this one you then have to sort of adjust that the knots are at the right point. If they are not at the right point, it will communicate the wrong things. So I just want to point that out. You will find the key points to look for when putting a string halter on a horse are the same as they are for a bridle. So the cheek piece should be 2 finger widths below the cheekbone, not too loose underneath. It should be about a fist width underneath their gullet right here. So that should be enough room for this particular point. And this, where you attach your rope, should not be too loose enough potentially so that you can string up your rope for riding, for making it a hackamore, but not too loose and floppy. So there is a little bit of an art to it as well. The material, in my view, plays a role. I don't like the really soft ones. I like them nice and firm. I believe they communicate way better your aids than a really soft and floppy one. So I guess this is my ropes and my halters we use here at FTP Coaching. If you do have any questions and would like to know some more about why we do, or when do we use which rope or which halter, I am very, very happy to provide you with that feedback. As well, watch our videos, have a look at our other videos where we actually do use our halters in groundwork and in liberty as well. When we start moving to liberty, which ropes we use to train and move into liberty. So watch our videos and post your questions onto this video if you have any, and I am more than happy to provide you with my responses. Thank you very much again for watching FTP Coaching, and we will hopefully see you next time.